those guys?
Well, a great group of young men. Excited for the opportunity to get a chance to work with them. Obviously Dak, Damian, and Nick. All three are extremely hard workers. From a standpoint of mental attributes, I think they're exactly what you want in our program, and I think they're going to provide us with great leadership and great athleticism at that position. I'm looking forward for a chance to getting them on the field and working with them in some detail.
What have you met with them, and when you talk to them, what are you bounce off each other at this early point and getting to know each other?
Well, for me right now, obviously a lot of it has been just getting to know them personally. I think the football part of it, that obviously takes care of itself, and we spend plenty of time talking football. But I think from a personal standpoint, getting to know these kids and getting to the point where they know me and we build that relationship, build that trust. So that's been, my main focus these first 2 weeks is getting a chance to know them on a personal level, their backgrounds, where they're from, their family, and just getting a chance to meet each other and spend some time meeting each other and making sure that everything is in line.
You haven't got a chance to see Nick in the field per se yet, but what have you seen out of him and Elijah so far, I guess on film, that you really like about their game?
The thing that stands out to me about Nick is he's ultra competitive, and in a couple of workouts that we've had, he's absolutely fearless. He'll go against McKinney and those guys, and he'll race them, and he'll step up to the challenge. And he's a guy that I'm extremely excited to work with, because I think he has a bright future ahead of him.
Talk about getting to know the quarterbacks on a personal level. Why is that so important as a coach to get to kind of know them?
Well, because we spend so much time with these guys year round, and I think that the relationship that you carry with your position coach is one that lasts a lifetime. And when we go into a kid's home and recruit that kid, we essentially become an extension of their family. And that's something that's been extremely important to me throughout my coaching career, and even throughout my playing career. I think you can see that with Coach Mullen. Him recruiting me has had a lasting impact on my life, and it's 11 years later, and that relationship is still there for us. So I think it's extremely important for the reasons that obviously I've just stated, but the trust that you build with your position group, and for when those guys are done playing football. And I think that it's important that you stay in contact with them. It's important that you remain a part of their lives.
Talk about that experience of being on the staff of Coach Mullen and Coach Gonzalez, two guys that actually recruited you when you were in high school.
Well, it's unique. Obviously I'm extremely grateful to those guys that gave me my first opportunity in college football, and it's nice to kind of have that come full circle and get a chance to work for Coach Mullen and work with Coach Gonzalez and Coach Hevesy and those guys, and be a part of the staff. I think from a philosophical standpoint, the foundation of my offensive philosophy kind of derives from what I learned from those guys early on at Utah in my career, and those principles are things that have stuck with me over the last 11 years, and I'm sure they'll continue to be the same 20 or 30 years from now. So just a great opportunity, to get a chance to come and coach in this league and be around a great group of guys every day.
Was that the most attractive part of coming to Mississippi State, just because you were so comfortable with Dan and Billy, or were there other aspects of
that was huge. I can't say enough about those guys and what I've learned from them throughout the years. Obviously having that relationship with them, having that rapport with them, is something that was extremely inviting and enticing. The success that they've had in this program, the job that Coach Mullen's done over the last 5 years has been outstanding, and I just wanted to be a part of that, and it felt like it was a great opportunity for me to make a move.
Talk about being that unique perspective, being under Coach Mullen before. Just how will that help you when you go about coaching these guys? 'Cause you were a player under Mullen, and so it'll be easier to translate to them.
Yeah, so I've been around him coaching before, so I know exactly how he is and what he expects and what what the expectation is for quarterback play, and it's extremely obviously probably identical to what I expect out of my group as well. So it's just a great opportunity and experience for me to be around brilliant offensive mind like Coach Mullen and get a chance to continue to grow and learn and develop as I kind of carry out my coaching journey as well.
Your thoughts of Dak and Damian so far, getting to know them, how's that going?
Well, I'll start with Dak. I don't think you can ask for a better young man. He's when you see him, you can tell he's a quarterback, and he carries himself with a certain demeanor that draws people to him. Very charismatic, very good with people. He's a great leader, extremely hard worker, and obviously a talented player. So he has some special abilities, some special tools. I'm excited to get a chance to work with him and try to help continue to refine and develop those tools and get him to reach his maximum potential. Damian, Coach Mullen has told me a lot about Damian, and he said he reminded himself when he recruited me is when he recruited Damian. So getting to know Damian, he's an absolute sponge. And he picks up information, he processes information well. And he handled himself well last year, being a young kid and having to step into some tough situations. And he played well and handled himself like a veteran. So it's good to have him in the program, and I'm excited to get a chance to work with those guys.
Will you keep kind of the same recruiting areas you had for Utah, or will you be in Mississippi some too?
Yeah, I'll be a little bit in Mississippi, down on the coast, down the coast of Mobile as well, and a little bit of Louisiana and a little bit of Texas. Obviously, I'm from Texas, so I have some ties to that area.
How much have you seen Coach Mullen change over the last 11 years? How much difference do you see in him?
Well, from a day-to-day perspective, not much, because obviously I wasn't with him, at Florida in the first 4 years here. But his personality and stuff is still the same as I remember when I was 16 years old. He's extremely detailed, high energy, very personable, relatable. You can talk to him, and really, really intelligent guy. And I think that kind of shines when you have a conversation with him. You really understand how smart he is, and I think it carries over.
How do you want your meeting room to go? How do you like to organize that? I mean, do you like a lot of talk with the guys that are there, or do you like to kind of you be in control?
Well, I think there's always room for discussion, and I think that's a huge part of developing a quarterback. And my whole deal when you talk about developing quarterbacks is getting them to understand why we do the certain things that we do. And in order for them to do that, they have to be mentally inquisitive. They have to ask questions. They have to be engaged. They have to understand what we do and how we do it before they understand why we do it. And I think getting to that point and having them have that maturity level is something that's extremely important for their progress and development as a quarterback.
You're stepping into an offense that has so many returning parts there. Now, and I know you haven't probably watched a ton of tape on them, but kind of give an overview of what you think of this offense, where it stands going into spring.
Well, obviously there are 8 returning starters, so they're guys that have played in this league. This league is tough. I mean, especially this division. The SEC West is no joke. So having those guys have that experience of being, in the fourth quarter in a tight game with Auburn, being in the game with Alabama and LSU and those teams, I think, naturally as you get older, you can draw back from those experiences, previous years in your college career, and learn from those experiences and use them to your advantage when you get that next opportunity. So, you know, obviously, I haven't been on the field with those guys yet, but I'm looking forward to it, and you know, I think it'll be a good deal once we get it rolling.
Dax going to have some high expectations going into next year. Obviously, you've been in those shoes before too. You know, how do you help him kind of deal with those expectations from your experiences?
Well, I think that the thing is to the biggest thing is to go out there and concentrate and control what you can control. And you know, obviously, there's a lot of external expectations, but I can tell you that no one is harder on themselves than Dak is about, you know, about what he wants to get done and what he wants to get accomplished. So, you know, he already holds himself to an extremely high standard. So, you know, it's just a matter of him going out there each and every day, focused, and doing the necessary things it takes to get better and to reach his maximum potential.
You have a little experience, obviously, against the SEC, and a pretty impressive moment you enjoyed back then. You talked about jumping into the SEC. What is the impression where you come from of what an SEC defense is?
Well, you know, I've seen an SEC defense firsthand. Obviously, in my playing career, my last game was against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. So, you know, it's a very, very talented league and very, very well coached league. I think those two things are what stand out. You know, when you look at the rest of college football, is the guys are super talented and they're coached extremely well, and you know that makes it hard. That makes it hard on offenses, and I think that just the overall evolution of defense the last 6-7 years, you know, those guys are getting more and more complicated in what they do, and making it a little bit more difficult for offenses. So I'm excited for the challenge, excited for the opportunity, but looking forward to it as well.
What do you think, like John, Billy, Dan, a couple of them recruited you, and then you were a player underneath them. What was it like that first meeting where you were one of their peers, that first meeting here? You were looking at them. What were your thoughts that first 5 or 10 minutes?
Well, you know, I didn't really think much of it. Like I said, I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be around some great offensive minds throughout my career, both as a player and a coach. And like I said, I've known those guys for a really long time, and you know, I think they've known me in the profession for a while as well. So it really wasn't as weird as some people might think. It was just kind of get in there and let's get to work. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't weird at all.
It was easy to transition from seeing them as your recruiters and your coaches to being a peer.
Yes, it was a very, very seamless transition, in my opinion. Just for the simple fact that, you know, the majority of my college career, those guys had already moved on to Florida. So, you know, by the time I was a junior and senior, you know, they were on a different staff, and different program. So, it had been some time removed since they had obviously actually been in the room coaching me. Now, you know, I've obviously called Dan and talked to him when I was a player, my first couple years as a coach, and keep in constant contact. But that dynamic had changed pretty early on in my career.
What did John and Billy say to you the first time when you came here?
Well, they didn't really say much. It was, you know, they were excited that I was coming.
Didn't they say something like "you come a long way" or something like that?
Not at all. You know, it was kind of. I don't think it was a strange moment at all. It was just as if anybody else was, you know, joining the staff, and they were excited to get to work. So, you know, obviously John is going to throw a couple of jokes in there and stuff, but you know, that's just his personality. So I'm used to that already. But yeah, it was a seamless transition.